What's happening, people? Welcome into All You Can Eat Warriors. And yeah, as I always say, All You Can Eat Warriors. It's great to have you guys coming in tonight as we come officially, in the Warriors' terms, to the end of the road, like boys to men. Look, Ash is unfortunately sick tonight. Really appreciate him jumping on last night for our members only show, the Club Rooms. Great show, great opportunity to hear Ash's views. So unfortunately he's sick, but if you get some time, you want to watch some more of what Ash had to say about the game, jump on that. Should be on YouTube in our videos. Go check that out. But yeah, unfortunately not have Ash with us tonight, but I will be here for the next hour or so to answer some questions, to give my thoughts as well, and to look into the chat and see what comments come up that might be of interest. But there's still a lot happening in and around the Warriors. Obviously, we're going to recap this game. New South Wales Cup team list is out. We'll talk a little bit about that against the Penrith Panthers this Saturday. So there is a lot of talking points. And as we get to rounding up, concluding the season, there's a lot to talk about in terms of evaluating the season, breaking down the players, who was good, who was bad, who was great, who was the player of the year potentially. Those types of questions. We're going to be covering that over the next couple of weeks here at Wires Up TV. But in all fairness, the season is over. It can be time now to give your thoughts on what has happened and at the club so far. Hey, just welcome in everyone in the chat pre-game. Thank you very much, sir. Taukilo. How are you doing, my friend? Jazz, as always. Kia ora, sir. Tahi. Ngā mihi kia koutou. Kia ora e wā. Killer. Channel members, appreciate you guys. Kia ora whānau. Welcome in. Yeah, so we'll just quickly recap. What an amazing game, firstly, by Shaun Johnson. And I did my little review and up on the channel, but just want to re-emphasize, if you ever want to go out on top, that's probably the best way to do it, right? In the fashion that he did. A good little interview he did in the post-match. I didn't realize it. I watched it yesterday, and it was really insightful about how he talked about getting me to a right-hand strip or some, there's the little terminologies that they have for their plays. I'd love to learn all of them because that'd be great for my videos. But you can tell where he's like, hey, don't tell them what we're doing. But it's very clear, in terms of, it was a sequence of plays. He said technically 3 tackles. And he wanted Dylan Walker to set those up, to set him up for that last and final play. So it was nice to hear that insight, and also the detail around like Dylan Walker being able to, so important in terms of, what he's doing and his role. And I know Dylan didn't have the greatest game, but in terms of that link man as a ball playing lock, that I had to do a lot of work to get Shaun on the right spot. But the execution by Shaun was just insane, and he rewound the clock in a way. The first try that he set up for Metcalf, it was just classic Shaun. We saw him, dummy and go through the line, and then Metcalf with great support play. It was just one of those things of beauty to see Shaun rewind the clock, and give shout out to Metcalf as well. I thought he had a great game. I thought the cutout pass to Montoya was absolutely beautiful and on point. It was great to see that try. So the variety that they played with was awesome, but specifically Shaun to have that moment. And you can see when he ran out onto the field that he was just in the moment. He was smiling. He was happy. It was different to the emotion. I think he even mentioned it as well. The emotion at Mount Smart against the Bulldogs, it almost too much. And then he referred back to this game and spoke with Webby and said, "Hey, just be free. Now you can focus on your footy." And it was clear that he focused on the football and got the job done. So full credit to Shaun. Great to just witness that one. Him rewind the clock and show us all of what we loved about him and his game. But I thought a quick shout out to Tane Tuopiki. Um, Great to hear Ash's thoughts, and we'll get a chance to catch up with Ash hopefully maybe next week. But yeah, views on guys like Tane and CNK. You got to see samples of their potential, specifically Tane, a sample size, a small sample size, but yet in that small amount of time has been very effective. I even think in Tame's fairness, if you go back to his first lot of 3 games, I remember the analysis and the view of him. I think he did play against the Sharks. I think, or maybe CNK played the Sharks. He played the Melbourne game, and I think he started the Canberra game, but then RTS took over. But there was some like the Melbourne game specifically. I think he did a pretty good job, but obviously we got pipped in the end, so it takes away a little bit of what the good things he's done. But ultimately, he hasn't had the sample size to be able to really show us, can he do this over a long period of time. But what you saw, the line break, the injecting of speed, the link play, I think he had 2 try assists on the night, were all things that we kind of needed this season. I think back to the Penrith game where he was very, very pivotal in that situation. There's been other games, but it's just unfortunate he's had a head knock. Remember one of the games he got, complete HIA category 1, and then he had to go off, and he struggled to come back into the lineup, obviously. But for me, I would like Tane to get a really strong look in next year. I think he poses something that it's something we need. But the biggest question for the smaller fullbacks of his size and his is can the body hold up ultimately? I think you could argue the same thing for CNK. The body maybe didn't hold up this season. But adding in the difficulty of the season itself, and I suppose where he's at, and also the instability of the defense has been really poor. So there's some tough questions to ask. But in my opinion, if I could promise to get, say, 18, 20 games out of Tane, which would be a lot for a small guy, then I would take that risk and play Tane at fullback. But it's one of those ones where CNK had a stellar season 2023. Can he find himself back into form? And if he can, then he's obviously, for me, the first pick. But Tane is right there in just terms of dynamicness, like amazing ability from him to be able to get onto his feet. You look at him, you think, oh, this guy's going to get hammered when he's returning the ball. Very smart player, can go into contact, little sidestep, little jink, just find the little creases between the tacklers, attack maybe the weak shoulder or part of the shoulder so that he doesn't get dominated and he can get a quick play the ball. And I think there's a trend that despite the game being so, what should I say? The looks of a small guy up against, a charging front row to tackle him. It's funny in the game that you can't really hold down guys for very long, even on kick returns. If you catch them full flush on, the time and speed that the game is at, it benefits smaller guys getting up. And I even said defensively at times, he can kind of find, because he's smaller, he can fit into smaller spaces. So you saw the one where I think Nikota went over, and he found a way to get underneath the ball and protect it from going over the line. So there's just an argument for him to, in my eyes, potentially have a crack next year, but it's dependent on consistency. Do you know what I mean? So that's the type of thing I'm talking about. Welcome in, Jose. Welcome in, Daniel, Jacko, Mez. Thank you very much. Sharks kept scoreless for 25 minutes in the first half, but then halftime couldn't come quick enough. Yeah, that it's the same story. Just quickly, Jose, on that. We've seen it far too many times this year. Is we do have strong starts, but then that last 10 minutes before the half, you saw them put 3 tries on, and it was almost just too overpowering. Do you know what I mean? So those are the type of things to be really, really mindful of. Tain offers a different type game to. Yep, they're unlikely if Webster goes for a more freer style. Yeah, it isn't like I said. There's an argument um, for Tain to get an opportunity, but it's so dependent upon him being healthy. I knew he'd win with Tain Abraha. Yeah, well, it's just he provides. Even if you look at his link play, because his positioning is really good, his speed to close the space up on the edges. When you go out the back to him, he can engage the centers and the wingers of the other team who may be sliding back, but because he's so quick, he forces them to get a reaction, and he's very, very good at that. Kia ora, Greg from Taranaki. Yes, welcome in. Dean, very well, man. Hey, your Newcastle boys beat my Tottenham boys. Mate, absolutely gutted by that. But congratulations. Push the likes. Thank you, Tahi, very much. Just look at this one from Jose. Tain Tupaki always looked threatening when he had the ball and he found himself in the right places in the attacking line. He did get bashed up a bit too. Lord bless him. Yeah, he did. And that's the part of the game that is going to be the challenge. I mean, I look at a guy like Keanu Kinney, and I think he's probably more physical than Tain, a bit more speedier. Similar, but even Keanu's body, I'd be worried for him to play 24 rounds at that level and the speed of it. It's not so much the speed of the game for them, but there are times when the contact is tricky, and even defensively. Like not when Hazelton made the line break to go through the score. It wasn't like I was expecting him to stop Hazelton, but it does look kind of off-putting having such a small guy when there is a big guy at the line. Like, what's he going to do to stop that guy? But they'll be beneficial. Like I said, being a smaller guy sometimes will be beneficial. But the big argument, can this team get back to its defensive strength that it did of 2023? And if that is the case, you might say that C&K might be better for that purpose. But it's just going to be one of those ones that have to really look into. Abraha, Warriors Juniors are looking good. Yes. Yeah, I'm going to go into the New South Wales Cup team as well. Looks like it's going to be a great matchup against Penrith. Benji, I reckon preseason team will play fullback and CNK at centre. Lucky we ain't coaches. Yeah, man. It's quickly, Dean. Yeah, I know, brother. I know. I got bitten by the bug, my friend. But just looking. Tahi, yep, that's a great point. The Hazelton situation shouldn't happen when JFH comes. I believe so as well, and I don't think he'll find himself nearing enough of those positions next year if our defense is watertight. So, and that's what I mean is that when you still have such a leaky defense as we have this season, no matter who's at fullback, it's going to look bad at times. But I actually thought that Tain was very productive. And productive doesn't always mean running meters. So for me, I don't equate productivity to just pure running meters. Sometimes it's about your elusiveness, your speed, your creativity, the way you get those meters. If the ref didn't stop for Dallin going down and getting a high shot, that 50-meter line break from Tain would have set up for something positive on the other end, potentially a try. So they're positive plays as opposed to pure numbers. And I think he added value in that sense. Am I on the Capewell thumbs up train now, Levon? But I've really enjoyed Capewell, and but from the sense that he's proven his own value to me and to the team. I think he's found his feet. I think You're seeing his running meters come up. For me, for a back rower, and traditionally our back rowers haven't been high volume runners, but I would like them to be a bit more. But he has been hitting those 100 and 110-meter marks. So you see him at times try get on the outside. You see him at times, line breaks like the Bulldogs game. You see him at times really show his quality. And I'd like to see that from the start of next season. So yeah, for me, he holds down that left side. I think we started him off as a right-sided back row. Now we've settled on that left, so I'm hoping he stays there. There is the opportunity. There's a guy like a Halasima that could be an understudy next year for a Capewell, and I'd like to see Licker get that opportunity. I think from what I understand, Asher said that he is a left-sided back rower. So for me, I'd like to see Licker get some time as well. But you'd have to say if Capewell can stay in that form, that for us, at least for now, is probably the best of what our back rowers offer. Marata, we'll talk about him, but yeah. So just quickly on Mez, I thought this was good as well. Love the way Tane plays at fullback. A player free, quick positioning is good. Different to CNK and RTS. Yeah, again, very different. And again, I quantate. Like I just don't like to look at just numbers and say, oh, yeah, he got 200 meters, or he got 150 meters, and maybe RTS got 250 meters. I like to see, you'd say from those numbers, RTS was more productive, but in a weird way, Tane for me shows a different type of productivity that I think benefits the team. Goes back to the argument over does what RTS does in terms of yardage, carries, meters, and all that from from fullback position. Is that what the team needs over, say, what CNK or Altane do at times, where they create try assists, they create all these things, opportunities for others, that type of thing. So it's one of those real arguments, but I'm not afraid to personally put my hand up and ask for him to get a genuine shot in preseason at being at a starting fullback, if that is the case. Let's just talk about this one. Great point from Miz. I thought CNK played great at centre. Again, and I've listened to Ash, and I probably differ a little bit. But what I will say about CNK is that I think I liked what I saw. I think it's similar to when I'm just going to quickly compare RTS and CNK playing at centre. Right? The big argument for RTS has been that he hasn't been so fluid in the attack in terms of positioning himself, knowing when to kind of sit in the line, where to sit in the line. He's been great in his yardage carries, but he has found a challenge when they're on a goal line attack or in an attacking shape to really kind of time his run to kind of either be a strong decoy or to know when to get the ball and just engage the defenders. Sometimes I know RTS wants to cut inside. Sometimes he wants to take that run. But I think there was some quality in terms of what CNK was doing that I think from the natural eye, what he showed on Saturday and was, in my opinion, better than what RTS has done from a attacking perspective. I actually agree with Ash in terms of RTS from a centre defensive perspective. I think he's been quite solid. The problem has been that he's been moved around a lot and you couldn't quite settle on one thing. But I think, yeah, there's benefits to also RTS's style as well. I think what I do think from CNK is that he has actually played quite well in terms of his carries were pretty good. Again, they're both fullbacks, technically, him and RTS, but their carries from centre are still just as solid, I found personally. It goes back to the argument that you could have both of them on the field and still be effective. So, for example, you could have RTS at fullback and maybe CNK at centre. I think they'll still get the majority of their yardage carries. You could have RTS at wing and maybe Chance at fullback, or RTS at wing and Chance at centre. I think they're still good carriers of the football. That part of the game should be okay. But in terms of the other parts of in terms of attacking on the goal line, I do think CNK was slightly better. But you could also say that the inclusion of Tuopiki opened things up for him. And then the other argument is defensively, he had some tough reads, kind of missed some reads, but at the same time, kind of set his feet. And they scored a couple tries on their edge. Now, I'm just thinking that that side might be a leaky defensive side. But going back to that argument between the two of them, I just feel naturally from the viewing perspective, CNK looked much more natural than RTS in that situation. But then you add in the layers, okay, of Rocco Berry, who has been has had a massive injury. He hasn't come back, and I'd love to hear what has happened with him. But no doubt he's been the natural centre for the right side. So I think they'll go with that. Leatoa for me is just showing too much that he's going to earn a spot on the left side. So in terms of CNK, if he's going to battle someone, it's going to be Berry for me. But at the same time, Berry has those defensive qualities that I really like, especially in a system where we play very passive in terms of we like to check the line and push out, check and push out. So his recovery time to push out on those reads, I like Berry a bit more quicker. So it comes back to that. Neither of them are starting centers, in my opinion. But if there was going to be a center, I would pick CNK. But at the same time, RTS hasn't been like terrible. So that's kind of the argument that I've got going on in my head. Yes. Okay, just going through, guys. Okay. Just want to quickly have this conversation, Andrew. I like Rocco and Ali in the centers. I really do too. I think there's some argument as well that some people may want Pompey still in the centers. I've got this kind of argument that if they did pick Pompey still, right, next year, I actually like Ali on the wing. And I know that's probably people say, oh, that's stupid, that's dumb. But if they were to develop him as a winger, he has that length, that Joseph Suaalii, that Joey Manu type wing presence about him. He'll have the speed, he'll have the power. I think if you compare him and Montoya, Montoya's a very much a yardage carry winger with a bit of finishing, but most of the time he likes to go into contact and bump people off before he scores. I think Leatoa could be that, but even better. So I'm just chucking that out as a theory, as a hypothesis that you could technically develop him as a winger, but I personally would pick him over Pompey. But with Webby, he has different views to me, but I would like to see Leatoa on there. If they were to do that, to get some opportunities as a winger. But I doubt they'll do that. There's actually an argument for Pompey as well, is a better natural winger too. If we remember, Pompey has played a lot of wing. He's got that size. Again, doesn't have the elite speed or finishing. But I go back to what is the need? What was the need going into the season, and what was the view on RTS? Remember, the view of RTS was he was going to be the X Factor player. We needed X Factor in our centers. Remember, we said Pompey just wasn't good enough. We needed more from that position. Now, after a season, and I suppose it's been a negative season, let's call it what it is, but there have been some shining lights on it. Leatoa has been a shining light in that center position. If we're talking X Factor, he is an X Factor potential, raw potential. Look, he's got a lot of work to do from a running and attacking perspective. Great, he's a lot of work to do in terms of defensive work. That you got to really tighten up those areas of the game. But I think he's worth the opportunity to do it. But I'm just saying there's some options there with him. But I for me, like Tane, calling for Tane to be the fullback. I'm actually calling for Leotoa to get that starting spot personally. Um, yes, yeah, absolutely agree with that. Out there, a bit more variety. We saw the variety. It was great to see early shifts. We really pushed the ball out. Maybe it's the last game of the season, but the guys were up to it to really. Miz saying leave on the problem is too much moving RTS to different positions due to injuries. Agreed. Yeah, I think there you got to give Roger a break a little bit. Definitely, he was moved around. He was the moving piece to all the injuries that happened. So I do fairly, give him a break. Tahi, yeah, it's a real tricky one because again, um, a lot of our guys they kind of all at the same level. Like I've always said this the whole season is that some guys have strengths that the others don't, and those other guys have the strengths that that guy doesn't. There's no sometimes out and out clear player in each position. Like for example, you could argue that RTS could be the better fullback. You can argue that side of it. You can also argue that the side of Tane. And the strengths of Tane's argument is the speed, the nippiness, the ball playing. But the weakness of the argument is his body, is the smallness of his body and be able to hack, you know, 26 24 game season. And then you could argue the RTS side, the yardage, the one-on-one breakability, the kind of, but you can argue that the link play, or you could argue that he's a little bit too old now, or the errors, which has been a big thing for me. So it's almost like a lot of our guys fit into that space where there's no out and out clear guy. So yeah, that's for that's kind of my thinking around that. You know what I mean? Tahi, quickly on this one. Anyone on Clark's signing team? No, I haven't really heard anything, and I think people are viewing Clark as a straight swap for Jazz. I go back to the argument. I don't think it's a straight swap for Jazz. He's more in the mold of a prop, yeah, in a way, but he does have some ball playing attributes, kind of like Walker. Not to the level that I think Walker has. I think Walker is a much more clearer attacking, like in terms of his attacking ability, he's much more clinical, I'd say, than what a Clark is. I think Clark is more of a tip on type lock or front rower that has attributes like physical attributes I really like and speed of quickness, his leg speed, those types of things. He can ball play a little bit. And I wanted to watch the game, the Titans versus I think it was the Knights, and you did see him do that. So I got but at the same time, so that's why I don't think it's just another prop for another prop. I think there's an element that what Clark can bring is quite good. But no word, Tay, I don't think from the club. I don't think even the club have signed that one off technically. So they would have. We'll have to wait and see. In my personal opinion, yeah, Miz, I would like Rocco and Ali at centres. I'm really interested to see what the. I know Rocco's was a shoulder. He must have had shoulder surgery to be out that long and indefinite. So and it's gone very quiet. I mean, a lot of the guys, I suppose that are on the injury list, they just kind of are on the injury list, and you never see them in social media. I'm even surprised that we didn't see much of Tohu. I mean, did anyone see Tohu around SJ's farewell or at the clubs? If anyone has been out at the clubs and at Mount Smart, sorry, do you know if Tohu's been around? I feel like he's kind of, we don't see him. I haven't seen him much on social media, but maybe they've said to him, "Go home and rest. Don't come back. Let your body fully heal, and we'll get back to you." Yes, that's a good point too. I would like to keep him at centre. I think there's some value to him as a winger. Again, I think the priority is centre. But Pasikala would be another great one. I think for me, Montoya's time is close to the end. I think what we've that's probably the best we're going to get out of Montoya, what he's given us, and I think he's been absolutely solid. I know he's had his moments, but he's been decently consistent for the majority of his time, and he's been very productive in terms of yardage. But I think it's time for a new guy to kind of come through, and I think it might be Pasikala, a kind of a breakaway. Like when I just watch the NRL and I just pick up a game and I just watch it casually, I just see wingers just bursting onto the TV screen, like just tearing apart from long range finishing. And I just think, man, we just need another really speedy type winger. We need another kind of one of the young ones to come through. And I'm thinking, I mean, Dallin for me could hold a spot for another year. But I think Montoya in particular, I think it's time for him. And I think it's time for a young one to come through. Yes, stay. Yep. Does Jazz have a new club yet? I haven't heard anything. Yeah, so yeah, Paulie Roach. I'm a big advocate for Paulie. I think I know Paulie's kind of working as a halfback, and maybe we'll get into that team list soon. But for me, Paulie is a guy I like from dummy half, a quicker, nippier type guy. He's young, he's youthful. I like that he's getting some experience in the halves. That is a great cover option at times. I mean, it'd be quite a drop off, but I think there's a strong argument for Paulie to get a shot, at least in preseason, and see if he can win a spot on the bench. He'll be competing with Lussick, so I still think Egan, if he gets his body right, that he'll be the first choice pick. But Paulie, again, I kind of put in that Tane space where it's just a different style. It's a bit more nippier. His runs out of dummy half are a bit more direct. So he'll try to, I know Egan's more manipulative to try and break those markers down and those A defenders. I think Paulie's more of a get out of dummy half and go directly at the A defender instead of trying to cut back in behind the ruck, or, he's more of a direct hooker in my eyes. I like his service. I think he'll be pretty good as well. So for him, a lot of these guys, like I say for Tane, saying for Leatoa, for Roach, if they have strong pre-seasons, I think they can win out some of those spots, in my opinion. I'd like to see more of New South Wales Cup boys on Sky as well as, it is. I mean, for the game this week, I think it's on the New South Wales Rugby League app, but would like to see more of them get an opportunity on TV. I'm not sure what the deal is with this week. I'd love to watch the game, but yeah, I think it would be great to have them on there more. GT. It's funny, both Webby and Wayne Bennett moved their fullbacks to centre. Wayne moved Hammer to centre and put Fuller. Yeah, that's a great one, actually. GT, I forgot to mention that. Fuller's been, again, another small type fullback that's been great for the Dolphins. And, I suppose still gives you a lot of speed with Hammer on there as well. So that's a great pickup. You've pointed that out quite well. So something to really, think about, definitely. Punter saying, I would have loved Geronimo Doyle in the halves. Yeah, I mean, we're going to get into this team list. We might get into it quite quickly as well. Yes, I think some of the boys from New South can come the game next year. Yeah, I think so as well, Greg. Webster kept Lussick on for ages after Egan came on, which was strange, but I guess there was a reason. Yeah, I think my analysis of that was to try and save, or to create a spare interchange. So, for example, Lussick has been used as a swap for Egan, right? Usually around 70th minute. So you play Egan for 70 and you bring Lussick on for 20 usually. I think what they were trying to get away with there was an extra interchange where you can get Lussick on the field. No, sorry, Lussick. So Lussick started. My apologies. Lussick started, and then Egan came on for Lussick, right? And I think the idea of that was to save an interchange by keeping Lussick on as a prop to rest. I don't know who it was. Instead of just swapping Egan and Lussick out, and then Lussick would probably sit on the bench for the rest of the game, probably barring the last 5 or 10 minutes, and then he'd come back on the game. So he kind of created another interchange, I suppose, but it was at the kind of really detriment of the team. I mean, he got dominated in 2 of the tackles. Like, it wasn't great. But I suppose Webby was trying to bide his time to get a spare interchange out of Lussick, instead of just straight getting him off the field and bringing on Egan. Get the idea of it, but when our defense is that poor, you can't be making some of those moves sometimes, in my opinion. What's doing with Bunty? Yeah, it's such a weird one. I mean, shout out to Anton. I know Anton's a big fan, but there hasn't been anything official from the club releasing Bunty. But it's feeling kind of, he's been talked about a lot, and I know when there's a bit of noise, yeah, there's some truth to it. But he's technically on the books till 2025, from what I understand. But yeah, we need to get some closure on him. He's another one. I thought if they were going to release him with Jazz, then he did deserve an opportunity to play. Even at Mount Spartan, I think the season was over, and for me, Bunty had kind of done his role. He was effective in what I thought was. I mean, he worked well in actually Webster's 2023 season. In a limited way, and remember that whole season was always like, is Bunty actually productive, But I kind of come to appreciate what he was doing. But he's been a long servant of the club, just like Jazz. You would think they would have, if they were going to release him, he'd get the same opportunity. But maybe from the sounds of it, he might be sitting out his contract. So we'll have to wait and see. I heard RCG is moving on, and Para was after Bunty, so watch to see if they follow through. Yeah, but I think if anything, he still needs his opportunity. So I mean, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's been at the club as just as long as what Jazz has been, right? So, that's my thinking. Hey, Footy, what if? How you doing, man? The NRL should bring back games to Tasmania, and New Zealand should have an AFL team based. Oh, yeah. Well, I think the one, if I know correctly, the AFL team in Wellington bombed. Well, I remember St Kilda used to take games there. My family was kind of involved in terms of it was so my little thing about me. If you guys know the Man and the Donkey, it's a painting in the Auckland Museum. So on my Pākehā side, my great grandfather Henderson, his name, he went to the war and he was the man on the donkey that was painted in the museum, Auckland Museum. There was a big argument over it was actually Aussie guy, but I think they realized that it was who it was, which was my great grandfather. But the Anzac celebrations, my uncle was involved with St Kilda when they used to have it at Wellington. And I think what happened was it didn't get off the ground. I don't think there was many people that went to the games. So, but I know that's a bit of a tangent, but yeah, thank you, Footy. I mean, if they can afford it, AFL can afford anything. Why not? Punter, from what I believe, only one top 30 spot available for next season, so I think it will be quite a quiet off-season signing-wise. Yeah, great point, Punter. Shout out to Charlie Ress, Mount Wellington. He shared in his story the audio for that. What did he? Yeah, in the audio they mentioned that they only had 2 spots or 1 spot left, like you mentioned. And yeah, so there's not going to be much movement, and probably even maybe if that is the case, they might bring one guy in It might be Aaron Clark, or they might push up a guy and from the development. So yeah, things are looking pretty tight. Again, we're kind of in that phase now where we are building towards a development club. So probably we'll see a lot less signings off season. We'll see a lot more of our own guys coming through. So yeah, good point there, Bunty. I think when you send out halves today, yeah, no doubt, that would be great. Get them playing some AFL. Okay, let's get into. I think that's kind of the main points from what I saw from the Sharks game. Actually, great to see Shaun again quickly play well. Again, we'll do our season review next week. But it's funny because the season, the way it's shaped up, it's like the best. The 12 wins. I think Ash mentioned 12 wins will get you in. I always thought 13. But it's funny, 12 got you in. And it's funny how not far off we were. Like, when you really look at it, those games that we lost, the tight ones or the ones we needed to win, they would have got us in. Now, don't get that mixed up with when we got in there, we were never going to do anything. So for me, it would have been an illusion of who we really are. But it tells you around the competition was in that spot. I mean, those low teams have been so competitive amongst each other, and I kind of reflected that the comp was open, it was there, but I think if we got there in the end, it was like first week out of there type of thing. But it just kind of, you reflect on and you think, man, there's some missed opportunities, definitely missed opportunities. But it is what it is. I think it's probably better that we get to the off season and try and address the root cause of our problems. Like, for me, the defense just has not fixed itself this year. I think people said 8 30-plus games of league points. Those are things that you just cannot persist with. You have to find answers for. Yeah, Jose, just quickly, who plays in the grand final? Any Smokies, or is it Death Storm Panthers? We still have a mean team. Dolphins could come to play. Mainly miss. Look, I would love one of the younger teams to get. I think I'd love to see like for me, a great one would be like a Bulldogs Dolphins, something totally out of the blue. It will never happen. Those top teams are just too strong. But actually, even the system. So remember 2011, we got into the finals from the old system, 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7. It's so difficult to make the grand final unless you're in the top 4 these days. It really benefits those top 4, and that's why earning. I think us getting in 4th last year was so good. So yeah, you're gonna see a top 4 team. Smokies, you'd probably say, like, for example, Sharks. If we can do that to them, I love my boys from ET stand, but you got to say that they're not going to go far, right? Even though they're top 4. Smoky for me would be Doggies. I'd like to see that, just from they're kind of in the same vein as us. They've been a bottom dwelling team, but the fan base has kind of got behind them, and you'd hope to see them go as far as they can. I think they can make it to a prelim. But in some weird reason, I think the Storm will come right this year. And I think that just the timing of Nathan Cleary and his injuries, I just don't think they can get that momentum going. A kind of an interesting final would be a Storms Roosters final, because kind of high point scoring teams, but you just think if the Panthers and Storm get into a final, you just feel that the Panthers they've just got that experience, and they'd know how to figure it out. They'd know how to shut down the Storm. Remember the Storm as well? I think there's a weird thing with the Storm. Like, they've gotten better, but I still remember feeling like they were a lucky team at the start of the season. Like, they got so many kind of lucky wins, but I think they've gone past it and they just become dominant. But you still feel as though that they you can get caught out on a day. But you kind of feel as though, yeah, I think you still kind of feel Panthers. But for me, I love a Bulldogs Dolphins final. But it's just impossible. It's just not going to happen. So probably Storm Panthers and Storm. If the Storm do it again 4 times, they're just on another level. Your punter's got the knowledge, Miz. Punter, Levon, will you and Ash be doing any content for internationals? Yeah, man, we definitely are. Like my passions are the Warriors and the Kiwis. International footy, actually, I like to see the game grow. So yeah, me and Ash are really passionate about it too. I know Ash is big on international footy, so we're going to be pretty much covering, in my opinion. I haven't talked with Ash about it, but we're definitely going to be doing some hard work on the international side. Like we'll be doing watch-alongs. If you don't realize it, but there's a lot of people that take interest in Samoa and Tonga, and like some of my biggest videos on YouTube have been talking about Samoa and Tonga, like up to 5K. I usually we videos usually get maybe max 1K. Like when Samoa and Tonga come around, you talk about them, like 5,000 people are interested. So from an interest point, I suppose it's cool too as well. But we love our international footy, so we'll be doing watch-alongs, we'll be doing post-match shows. We're really gonna try and get involved in that because I think it's great to see international footy. Dolphins Storm grand final, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But the Storm are just, I don't know, they're just on another level. Oh yeah, thank you, Kirk. Brandon Smith, Sam Walker out for the season. There, yeah, and like I saw Joe Marnie was playing in the halves, and he's just not that type of player. Tay saying Samoa, yeah, we're going to be covering Samoa in England for sure. So I'm actually keen to do some watch-alongs for that. I think we'll definitely be trying our best to do every watch-along. I think it's just a fun time of the season, just kind of break away from the NRL product. That's just for me, the NRL product just probably like 3 or 4 weeks, a little bit too long. But it'd be just have a nice break away from that and go into an international scene. Yeah, so actually, Mez, quick to point out that those guys are out, and I think Sam Walker, if you can't have him, he's just not going to go very fast. So that's saying it's probably Storm Panthers against Sharks and Pretenders. So, for example, Bulldogs Dolphins. Let's just say Bulldogs win, Cowboys Seagulls. I'll say Seagulls, and then you go to whoever the loser of Roosters. Oh, okay. So say if Roosters versus Cowboys, I mean Cowboys could win that. Sharks versus Bulldogs. You could probably go Bulldogs. Let's just say that, for example. So there'll be Storm v Bulldogs. Storm will pimp them. Panthers versus Cowboys. I think Panthers will get them. And you're just back at square one with Panthers and Storm. And I hate the Storm, so I'd rather the Panthers win. But for me personally, I love to see Jerome Hughes. I like him as a Kiwis fan, and would like to see Jerome get an opportunity, to prove himself at that level, and then obviously play in the Pacific Championship. Yeah, so great. Great for pointing that out. I think all roads lead to Penrith and Storm. Unfortunately, well, however you want to look at it. Yeah, great point. Tay Samoa England is going to be a grudge match. Could develop into a great rivalry. Yeah, and Greg saying Dolphins Bulldogs. Yeah, that would be great too. Like Bulldogs and Dolphins would be like. I just think it's be a more fun type finals. I'd love to see it. Just probably won't happen. But let's get into this one here, and I'll ask you guys based on your knowledge. I'm pretty haven't had that commitment in terms of really watching the Cup boys. I know a lot of you guys are big on the Cup side of things. Let me just try and bump this up. I think it looks a bit small. Maybe that's big. So look firstly, for our boys, Leia, Toa, and Tane, and Tomale. Benfar out, Durban out, and Pasikala. Okay. So my understanding was there was a criteria that you had to meet to be able to be eligible for Cup. So maybe those guys have met the criteria, have played enough games. So Ale, Tane, as well. So yeah, it's unfortunate that those guys aren't in there, but it's still a pretty solid squad. Let's just go through it quickly. Tane is back. Isaiah versus Yongi. I'm not too sure about him. Situ 2, he's been a staple in my eyes. Moala Graham Talfa versus Peachy. And Ali Leatoa versus Casey McLean. Now, Casey McLean, I think he's the boy that's been playing for them. Casey McLean. Sorry, let me just looking him up, guys. I think McLean was the guy that was playing in the Panthers. Yeah, I like this kid. Casey. Yeah, you're right, punter. But yeah, I think Casey's, if he's coming up against Leatoa, that would be a blooming awesome matchup. If they're both, so if Leatoa plays left and Casey plays right, love to see that. And Telfer Graham versus Peachy as well is a good one too. So the center battles, but Casey's, I think he's a future, solid NRL center, in my opinion. Jesse, I imagine that's probably his brother, Jesse McLean. So Koss, Hanson versus Dane Laurie and Paul Roach, Sonny Luke. Yeah. Any words on Sonny Luke? Laurie? I mean, Laurie's technically more of a fullback, but I suppose Sonny Luke more of a hooker at an NRL level. Is it kind of similar to what Paulie Roach is? For me, I think Paulie's been the best at halfback, but Luke is probably a bit more consistent in that space. But a great little battle. I mean, if Paulie and Luke can get one over Dane and Sonny, I mean, those are NRL players, right? So there is some value to them beating them. Alamori went back in. Thanks, Punter. Yeah. I was wondering how he's back in Cup now, but yeah. Yeah, and bro, they do. Yeah, Jose, yeah, don't mind Laurie. Yeah, I think Laurie's, I mean, these are good players. These are good NRL quality players. Even Sonny Luke, I know he's been really solid. So that would be a great matchup to see the halves. Tom Ale versus Grant. Not sure much on Grant. Makaya Tafua. Makaya Tafua. I've really enjoyed watching this kid. Oh, when I watched him at the Bulldogs game, I saw him in the I saw him in the pre-game. I thought he was really solid. And he's the kid that wears the headgear. Yeah, I think he's really good, this kid. He played Southern Zone, so he must be what, from Canterbury? Canterbury boy. Looks like a good kid. Yeah, I enjoyed his distribution. I thought he was quite good. I like him. Punter saying our pack dominates. Yeah, appreciate that, Punter. I think that'd be kind of a view of yours that we can kind of get on top of. I think Bunty, I think, has been really solid. Goes back to that point, like I said. I think Bunty is a good player. Sometimes he's almost a cut above sometimes at this level, but Labour versus Maverick Guy, that's a good little battle. I know Maverick's played a few games, haven't watched him closely, but yeah, so yeah, Metcalf can't play, I don't think. Only played 2 games of Cup. Yeah, that's a great point. So there's some guys that don't qualify. I think this is a good battle. I think it's quite even, I'd say. Kalani going, Captain Leka Halasima versus Zach Lipowitz. Luron Patea. I mean, I don't know these guys. I know Maverick Guy played a little bit of first grade, so that's a good little battle. Him and Laban Halasima. I'm looking forward to him. And then on the bench, we got Geronimo Doyle, Tennis Star Smith, Zion Mayu. That's still pretty solid bench from my perspective. Preston Ricky, I know he's played a little bit for. I think he made his debut in first grade. So yeah, that's kind of like, what's your guys' thoughts on this? I mean, I'll chuck it up to you guys. A lot of you guys have probably watched a bit more of the Cup than me, but we've seen a lot of our guys technically have played, quite a bit of first grade as well. So look, it looks. I love that Tane's in there. I think Tane will bring a bit of stability. He'll bring his experience now that he's gaining in first grade back in there. I like the battle of the centers. I think that's awesome. And probably come back to the halves. Who can really dictate the game. I don't know much about Sonny Luke and Dane Laurie in terms of what they've been able to do in the halves, but they are NRL experienced more so than what Paulie and Luke is. You probably could say with the experience they have, they should be able to, move this team, the Panthers, around and get them in good spots. But from what Punter's saying, we've got the upper hand in the forwards. Laban Guy is still a great battle, Lecker. And so, yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for our boys to, get a shot. It looks pretty good from my opinion in terms of, the bench looks good. Agree with that. And solid bench forward pack, difficult halves, close bet on the back. Yeah, it speaks of like a really solid close game. I think it's a played in Aussie. Is that am I right in saying that? It has been played in I think Leichhardt Oval. Yeah, okay. I mean, not that many people go to these games, but I imagine Warrior Nation will be out there. I know, a lot of Kiwis will be out there. I mean, I wonder even if my man Gerard is calling the game. Yeah, and this one here, Bunty looks like he's enjoying camp, especially the Bulldogs game. I love watching Mayu too. Solid runner, carry hard. Yeah, very, very good. I thought those when they played that Bulldogs game, the boys were really, really on top, and they all carried really, really hard. So I think this will be a good um, punter, mate. You're on point. Also, Jed Cleary is in action first week of flag finals. They finished second and has been at some good form. Initially being out of the team early in the season, but has cemented the 6th jersey. Wow. Okay. Where can I find flag? I mean, I need to find Jersey flag and see what's happening there. What happened to our Jersey flag boys? Okay, Jersey flag. There's the draw. So we didn't make it, did we? That's unfortunate. So what was the table in the end? Let me sorry guys, I'm just a little bit behind on all things, development. We finished quite low, 11th. Okay. Yeah, so wow, that'd be a great watch, isn't it? Go and watch the Jersey flag, Panthers Bulldogs. So man, if you got the New South Wales Rugby League app, so that's at 1 p.m. guys, and then the Cup boys 3. So yeah, that would be a great one to watch. Watch Jet Cleary against the Doggies beforehand at 1, and then watch our boys at 3. That'd be a good. That's a great one. Thanks for sharing that, Punter. That's really, really insightful. Yeah, I did see, Miz, that it was 11th. Let me just get Jersey flag. Let me just draw the ladders, and I'm going to Jersey flag. Yeah, we ended up 11th, so we got 8 wins, 15 losses. So it hasn't been the greatest year for the flag boys. Cup, we ended up being 12th. Yep. Harold Matts. We won that from 6th place. Remember, everyone remembers that one. So yeah, you're not, and every grade's different, right, and challenging. Yeah, and yeah, you're right, Jacko. Crosby and Flegg has been an opener. I thought he may have brought him into Cup. I think they'll probably look at doing that for sure. Do you know if the New South Wales Cup boys are on Sky TV? I mean, I probably could check my app, my Sky Sports now. I doubt it is, because usually they pick up the games. Let me just go quickly into say, what is the time of these games? The draw. This is on a Saturday. Okay, so you go back. Okay, Saturday, it's early morning. Is that right? Sorry, guys. I'm just in my Sky Sports app. Don't think it is. which sucks. It looks like just rugby stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't think it is, guys. So you have to get the New South Wales Rugby League app. Yeah, again with the New South Wales Rugby League, they only usually do it if it's tied in with the first grade, right? So they'll do the Cup boys when the Warriors are playing at home because it's easier to do. I suppose you have the TV out there, so but yeah. So anyway, guys, yeah, let's so that's that. I'll definitely try and watch that where I can. But I hope the Cup boys go well. And yeah, it'd just be great for our teams, great for the Herald Mets, great for all of our teams to have a strong finish and kind of complete the year. Jacko, any idea on the women's going to start announcing their women's signings? From what I understand, listening to the members forum, there are some signings coming, but this is one area that I'm really interested in because we signed the coach. I think Ron Griffiths will be the absolute best coach we could possibly get based on his pedigree, but it's been deadly quiet. Yeah, it's been deadly quiet in terms of signings. So we are, but we've got to start building the squad. I mean, technically, they've got a whole year. I mean, the comp doesn't start till what, July for the women, so it might start a little bit earlier. But I'd expect them to start to get some signings on the board, and maybe over the off seasons from what now till now till really when they start. But the thing I'll just quickly mention about the girls, I think it's going to be quite challenging this year. I feel like the talent will have to dip into the rugby talent market, like the sevens market. If you notice, a lot of the quality New Zealand girls have been signed up long term. I'll talk Mele Hufanga. All of our Kiwi Ferns, I do think, have quite long term contracts at their clubs, and a lot of those teams got in early, like last year, signed them up for 3 to 5 years. Some of them. But yeah, I would love. I'd love to see more of that. I'm hoping it's going to start to happen pretty soon because we haven't technically made one signing, although they're probably working in the back room about we need to start building our squad like pretty quickly in my eyes. But yeah, it's kind of Georgia Hale is another one as well. Yeah, Interwebby, how you doing, brother? Yeah, Ash said it's available on New South Wales. Yeah, it is. It definitely will be there. I mean, just quickly, guys, before we kind of wrap up, I know me and Ash are going to do our reviews next Tuesday. I think we're also going to try and get some more content creators on to kind of get a broader, stroke of views about the season. I did see Fanatics put up something on Twitter just to get like out of a 1 to 10. What do you rate the season as, and why? I think it might be just something interesting if you give me a number from 1 to 10 quickly, just to see where a lot of you guys are at in terms of how do you rate the season. Was it an average season? Does it meet the criteria for 5? Does it meet a criteria for 6? Would some even go 7? I think that'd be a bit too. I'm probably sitting more in the 3 to 4 range in terms of what happened. I mean, we're going to try and really talk it out next year, like what actually happened this season. Like, I think I've come to some conclusions, but you'd have to say it's in the below 5, based on a lot of things. But it'd be interested to see a lot of you saying 4. Yeah, I think it's around the 4 range. But it's a good argument, good way to kind of think and preload where we're going to, talk about next week. We are going to do the tiers. I think we need to revisit the tier list that we did. I'm looking back now on, and I think I was a bit too soft on some guys that I think we could create a better tier list. So, for example, I think on that tier list we had for that mid-season review, we had, player of the year, great year, good, and then we had another thing. But I think we need to break it down into excellent, great, good, average, poor, really poor. Like we need to kind of break it down for each player. Yeah, and actually that's really cool to see the 4. I think I agree with a lot of you guys there. 4 could, you could go argue 3, but I think that's fair to probably say 4. In defense, yeah, Kurt's saying you're absolutely right. Defense has been really poor, and I just even think, I mean, it was great to see SJ again, just great to finish on a high. And I thought SJ and Metcalf and all everyone played really, really good to get that win under that situation. But the defense has just been god awful this year. We really got to sort that out, and that would be the first thing. My first priority is defense. We have to get that points differential back down to 18 or lower. We got to be a stronger team defensively this year. So I totally agree with a lot of you. Appreciate you guys sharing that as well. Um, yeah. Any guys, if you got any more questions, chuck them in. It's been great chatting with you. Appreciate it as well. All of our members jumping in last night with Ash. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, in terms of content this week, Ash got one more show tomorrow with Down Under, so that's going to be good. I think even finals, I will definitely try to do a few watch along games for the finals game, just to have a bit of fun and just to keep content and just keep in touch with you guys, the community. We're going to look at doing a Discord thing. Just a hands up in the chat, or let me know. I did want to do the members show next week and have some of our members jump on and actually talk, and you don't have to have your camera on, but it'd be good to just hear your voice for some of our members out there. It'd be great to just get your opinion on screen or in audio form about how the season's gone. Let me know if you are keen. Contact me and on Instagram or wherever you can. But I think we will do that. We'll try and create the Discord as well. Ash has learnt a lot about that. I'm still trying to find my feet around the Discord thing, but we'll try and get that going. Mez, are you doing New South Wales Cup? Yeah, I'll probably try to. We'll at least talk about it next Tuesday night, the game. So yeah, we're going to definitely do that, and tie it in. If the boys are still winning, we'll go all the way. We'll probably even try to do some watch-alongs. But yeah, I think we'll definitely do the Cup boys. We'll do as much finals footy as we can. But yeah, like for the next 2 weeks at least, we're going to do some big season-ending breakdowns. So come along for those. Out here balling. Yeah, anyone think Barney was off for a long week? Yeah, he was off for a while. I think we were talking about on the watch along that maybe been injured. I'm not sure around that, but yeah, guys, appreciate you guys again. We'll leave it there. I think I've got most of my thoughts out, but it's great to hear everyone's thoughts in the chat. We'll come along for Ash's show Down Unders tomorrow night. I'll just say one thing that I think has been really, really good. I think, obviously, from a fan's perspective, seeing Mount Smart to where it is today, where it's like I went to the Bulldogs game, and I'm just so amazed at how much the Warriors brand has grown. Like, I think, man, to be the first team in NRL history to sell out, and it's not like some of these teams, we sold out, and they got 8,000 capacity. Like this was 24,000 capacity, and we sold it out for a whole year. That is crazy. I'd never imagined the Warriors from where they were get to that level, that ability. And it's such a different crowd too now. I think it's much more of a casual crowd. Like I went and watched the game, and there was just two girls in front of me that pretty much taking selfies. I don't think they knew much about footy. But it's cool too. But I'm just saying, like, to get people out on a Friday night at 8 p.m. in the rain, to be just at an event like the Warriors, I think is credit to the club, and the youth, the development. I very much agree with Ash that these guys need an opportunity um, that they need a chance to, go and, prove themselves next year. And there were some great highlights like Leatoa, Halasima. They've all had a moment, Sifakula, which is great. And I'm excited to see that pathway open up. The 5 grades, was it 4 grades, and then with the women's next year, it's just been so amazing to see. So I think, yeah, I appreciate everyone giving an honest review, and we'll definitely review it. But there are some definite positives off field, I suppose, more so, which is it's just still cool. But and it's been great to see. So tēnā koe tai, yeah. And the acknowledgement to the passing of our Māori King, like, again, I don't think there's any club that's more on point than our club in terms of recognizing big cultural things in terms of their importance, and to acknowledge that from our boys, I think is absolutely important. And moi mai rā, e te rangatira. Yes, thank you, everyone, and our Warriors fans and all our Warriors fans podcast, YouTube. Yeah, been great. Been a great year, and we're not done. Yeah, so me and Ash, you'll be with us at least till November. We'll still be doing some content, just so hang around. Jump in, guys, for Ash's show tomorrow, Down Unders. That's been a revelation in my eyes to see Ash and Brody and the way they talk about footy and their knowledge. So jump in for that. But you catch us, on next week, Mondays for members show, and Tuesday. But I actually think, if things going well, would like to do a watch along with some of the Cup boys if I can get a free subscription. Or maybe Ash might have him. We get him to do some watch alongs, but that would be cool too. But anytime we can all meet up together like this. So appreciate everyone, like 33, 40, 50 people that came in tonight. Please hit that like and subscribe before we end. If you haven't subscribed, please help us get to 1,500. We're about 33 at short of 1,500. So if you are new, if you are watching this right now, and if you've enjoyed it, please give us a like and subscribe to help us grow our content. But stay safe, everyone. Appreciate everyone in the chat. We'll catch you later. Up the wires as always, and see you next time.